All right, today we're going to dive into a really big idea, something that could totally change how we, as a civilization, handle our best thinking. It's called the Global Idea Commons. You've probably heard this one before, right? If it mattered, it would already be here. It sounds so reasonable, so wise. It suggests that, the cream always rises to the top, that good ideas just naturally find their way. But what if that's not just wrong? What if it's dangerously wrong? What if that single belief is the very reason we find ourselves making the same mistakes over and over again? To get our heads around this, let's kick things off with a little story, a fable. Picture this, the City of Towers. It's a place that's pretty sure it's got it all figured out. And right at the heart of the city is this incredible building, the Grand Archive. It's basically a library, but it's only filled with polished, proven, absolute successes. Now, this archive had a super strict door policy. You couldn't just get in. For an idea to make it onto the shelves, it had to be a completely finished answer. It had to have passed all the trials, won all the votes, gone through full production. There was zero, and I mean zero room for anything uncertain, for wandering thoughts, or for those brilliant but kind of half-baked ideas.
But here's the crazy part, the paradox at the heart of it all. Even with this perfect library of what works, the city was completely stuck. Bridges kept failing in the exact same ways. New medicines would stall for the same old reasons. The engineers kept hitting dead ends that felt, well, eerily familiar. They had this incredible library of answers, but they weren't actually learning any.
So, this is where our story takes a turn. It's all thanks to a caretaker, Leon. She gets this mundane job. Go clean out some forgotten, unlabeled basement deep down below the spotless, perfect archive. And, you guessed it, what she finds down there changes absolutely everything. Down there are no perfectly bound books. Instead, Leon finds just thousands and thousands of dusty boxes, and they're filled with the messy reality of how things are actually made. We're talking sketches, half-finished equations, diary entries, diagrams. But here's the crucial part. Each box wasn't just some random idea. It was an idea with its story. It didn't just say what the idea was, it explained why it stopped. It preserved the whole journey, not just the final destination.
So you see what's happening here, right? You've got these two completely opposite philosophies, one on top of the other. The archive upstairs, that's a catalog of destinations. It's all about the finished answers. But the basement? Well, the basement was a map of the journey. It held on to the process, the wrong turns, the wandering, the thinking itself.
And the people who started studying this stuff from the basement, they had this massive breakthrough. They realized, hey, we got to stop trying to file these things away into neat little categories. Instead, they just laid everything out and started drawing lines, connecting the dots. They could see how a missing piece from one failed project actually existed in another one, or how a rule that blocked an idea 10 years ago had just been changed. They were creating a living, breathing map of thought. Okay, so let's bring this back from the fable into our world, because as you've probably figured out, the City of Towers isn't just a story. It's a mirror reflecting our own reality.
So, what does this story really have to do with us? Well, everything. Because we are living in the City of Towers. We've built a world that glorifies the archive, the successes, the finished products, but we have almost completely ignored our own basement.
I mean, just look at these numbers. It's kind of staggering. If you look across science, technology, culture, you name it, only about 1 to 5% of all ideas ever get any kind of official approval. And then, less than 1% of the total actually make it out into the real world. Now, the problem isn't that the success rate is low. That's totally normal. Innovation is hard. The real problem is that we let the other 95 to 99% of all that thinking, all that effort, just evaporate. It just vanishes into thin air.
Think about it. Our modern systems are all built just like that archive. Search engines, they're basically a popularity contest. They show you what everyone else is already looking at. Wikipedia? It's amazing, but its rules require things to be notable and stable, which means originality is often treated like an error. And funding bodies? Come on. They have to pick the safest bets to get a return. All these systems are, by their very nature, designed to filter out the messy, unproven, early-stage stuff, which is exactly where all the game-changing ideas are hiding.
Okay, so if that's the problem, and it's a huge one, what's the solution? Well, there's a proposal for a whole new kind of infrastructure, a kind of memory for all of humanity. It's called the Global Idea Commons.
Basically, the Global Idea Commons, or GIC, is designed to be our planet's collective basement. It's a place where you can log an idea before you have any proof it works. A place where failures are documented not as shame, but as super valuable data. And it's a place where an idea that was just too early can go to sleep, basically, just waiting for the world to catch up so it can be rediscovered.
And let's be super clear about what this is not. This isn't another startup incubator. It's not a patent office. It's definitely not a social network for just spitballing ideas. And it's not some kind of idea marketplace. No, it's something way more fundamental. Think of it like a collective cognitive memory layer for all of us.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how would a system like this actually work in practice, right? How do you make an idea remember?
Well, instead of just having two buckets, success or failure, ideas in the GIC would move through a whole life cycle. It could start as just a tiny spark, an intuition. Then it might grow into a sketch, a more fleshed out concept. Maybe it even leads to a real-world attempt to build it. But, and this is the key, if that attempt fails, the idea isn't just thrown in the trash. It doesn't get a fail stamp. It just becomes dormant. It's not dead, it's just waiting.
And this right here, this is the massive philosophical shift. In a system like the GIC, failed does not mean useless. Not at all. Failure is just data. It's a signpost for everyone who comes after, saying, hey, we tried going down this road, and here's the giant pothole we hit. Watch out for it.
This is where it gets really practical and cool. The key is to systematically document why an idea got stuck, using a standard set of reasons. So, for example, imagine someone had an idea for a solar-powered drone way back in 2005. It would get tagged dormant, missing dependency. And the note would say, battery technology just isn't efficient enough yet. Now, fast forward to today. Someone's searching for new drone ideas. They stumble across this old concept, and they instantly see that the one specific thing that blocked it, the battery problem, is now totally solved. See? This turns one person's failure into a roadmap for someone else's success.
So let's zoom out. What's the end game here? What is the ultimate impact? I mean, what actually happens when an entire civilization stops forgetting its own best thinking?
There's a really powerful analogy for this, and it comes from our own brains. We have a part called the hippocampus. Its job is to hold on to new, fragile, unstable memories before our brain decides whether to lock them into long-term storage or just let them fade away. The Global Idea Commons is meant to be exactly that, but for all of humanity. It's that crucial middle step, that memory substrate that bridges the gap between a fleeting thought and established rock-solid knowledge.
And really, that brings us to the heart of the matter. Maybe we've been thinking about progress all wrong. Maybe it's not about a relentless hunt for perfect answers to stack up in some shiny archive. Maybe real, lasting advancement comes from building a memory system that actually honors our questions, our detours, and yes, even our failures, so we can learn from the whole messy process. It leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What could we possibly build if we finally remembered everything we've ever thought?